And yes, we find in Sahih Bukhari that the river Euphrates will uncover a mountain of gold. And people will fight for that gold. And 99 out of every 100 would be killed. And each would say, I am the one who will survive. But the Muslims must not touch that gold. We have discarded that methodology about a mountain of the metal coming out from underneath the river. But if you are persuaded that that is what the hadith is saying, then we say to you, by all means you can stay with that. No need for any boxing gloves. We're moving on. We are moving on. We say that there is something underneath the river which is huge in quantity and is symbolized by the use of the word mountain, and which one day is destined to function as gold. And we say it's oil, otherwise known as black gold. And we say that this has already occurred. This has already occurred. We don't have the time tonight to give a lecture on monetary economics, to take you to the Bretton Woods Accord, to take you to the International Monetary Fund. We don't have that time tonight. But there are lectures of ours which you can listen to. Up to 1971, the US dollar had an element of legitimacy, a fig leaf to hide its nakedness. That international law made it obligatory on the United States of America to redeem the US dollars for gold. You can bring your US dollars to the United States and demand that you get the gold for it at the rate of how much? You can't answer me, I'm going home. How much? $35 an ounce. 35 US dollars for 1 ounce of gold. And the rest of the world of paper money was nothing else but paper. And they had to hang on to the coattails of the US dollar to have any semblance of legitimacy. This was a monetary system that was bogus and fraudulent and manifestly haram. But the world of Islam long ago stopped thinking. The scholars of Islam stopped thinking. And I make no apologies for the harshness of my language. It is Allah who will judge whether my language is appropriate or not. We stop thinking. Even though Allah sent the Quran to a people who think. And so this bogus monetary system lasted until 1971, when the French once again brought US dollars. Knock, 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 Uncle Sam, are you there? Come on, we want the gold. But this time the United States got scared, because who knows what's going to happen tomorrow. We have printed more paper than we have gold. So if Saudi Arabia joins the line and Kuwait joins the line, what's going to happen? The bank will bust, go to jail. You print more paper than you have gold. It's fraudulent. So the United States announced that we're no longer going to redeem dollars for gold. They gave their word, and they said, we don't have to keep our word. That is the United States of America. Since 1971 then, the US dollar was in no man's land. It had nothing to back it up. Between 71 and 73, it remained in no man's land. And in 1973, they gave us the Arab-Israeli war. They knew, oh yes, they knew, that King Faisal had warned, had threatened, that he was going to impose an oil boycott on the United States of America. You know, in those days, you actually had a Saudi with that moon. Yes. And when the war started, Saudi Arabia imposed an oil boycott on the United States, and there were motor cars lined up for 1 mile and more to buy gasoline in those days. And what happened was predictable. The price of oil rose because of the boycott, demand and supply by 400%. From $3 a barrel to $12. And the Arab oil producing countries were now 400% richer. These are the good times. And the US dollar fell in value by 400%, from $40 a barrel, $40 an ounce of gold to 160. This was when the Zionists pulled off the greatest stunt in all of history. And an ocean of oil began to function as a mountain of gold. Henry Kissinger went to Saudi Arabia and convinced King Faisal, who didn't have the knowledge, he didn't have the knowledge, that if you sell your oil for only US dollars, you're going to see that what you're getting now is peanuts. You're going to become so wealthy, he didn't use these words, that if you go and try to give zakat, you will not find anybody to accept your zakat. You remember the hadith? Do you remember? And he fell for it. And Faisal then got the other Arab oil producing countries to join with him in this fraudulent gang. And then they brought into being the greatest creation of the Zionist world on all human history, something called OPEC. And the oil producing and exporting countries of the world, members of OPEC, abided by this unwritten law that oil can only be sold for US dollars. So the US dollar didn't have gold anymore. It now became a Petrol Dollar. It now became a Petrol Dollar. And this monetary system now, which has no links with gold, now became known as the Petrol Dollar monetary system. And that is what the Prophet ﷺ was referring to when he prophesied that the river Euphrates will uncover a mountain of gold. If the world is convinced that this is the correct interpretation of the hadith, alhamdulillah. But Allah